sport specifically. Uh, you know, I want to talk about the promotion and the sponsorship and what it's like right now for you to try, even though you're 8-0, and even though it's undeniable that when you step in that ring, you're probably going to win. How hard is it to get this next fight?
Great question. To be honest with you, my last fight in Montreal, it was 1 minute and 34 seconds in October, because it was or September. And I actually we had to find a number of creative ways to figure out how to make that happen. But, just for a stay busy, active fight for a 10-round heavyweight fight, look at like 30 grand or more. And if there's titles involved, there's even more. So it's tough to find financial support. I've had to finance all my training camps pretty much by myself over the last few years, and that's been extremely difficult. I've had, 2 or 3 training camps with quite fell through, so I took a loss on that. Instead of being up, I was considerably down as a result. So, I have to invest in myself to recognize that. And I have to be the driving force behind my career. Otherwise, I'm going to be one of those guys that watches your career pass you by. And so
I think that that's a really important thing to touch on, though, is that I don't know if a lot of athletes that are coming up and they're training in the gym and then they think, oh, okay, I'm going to become pro. I'm going to work. Do they realize the costs behind it and the difficulty it is in finding those sponsors to help you get to each fight? Because there's trainers involved, there's tournament, there's management, there's, all the travel costs, especially if you have to get to the next. And I don't know if everyone's really quite aware of the expense that comes with trying to become a pro fighter. And that expense usually comes with the help of sponsors. And how do you find those sponsors if the promotions are big enough to get the advertising out there? And it's again, I just had this conversation with a promoter, and it's a vicious circle of the fight game.
Yeah, it's a really difficult business to prosper in. As a fighter, if you're 10-0, you've got promoter behind you, and then you're laughing, right? But if you're not one of those minority people, right, then it's always going to be a challenge. And you have to have somebody that's actually in the game to put you in the game. So, myself, even though I don't have a promoter, my manager is the one that put me in situations. So Daniel Garvey has been instrumental in helping to put me in positions where I had to go deliver. Most of the fight opportunities we got was actually on the B side, which is the guy that's not supposed to win.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And so once you start knocking people up where you're not supposed to win, people will pay attention to that are in the business. And unfortunately, then they don't want to put their guy in. If you look at it as assets, liabilities, I'm a huge liability for any promoter that doesn't have the sign.
Right.
Because I'm going to come in and I'm going to destroy your guy. I'm going to take Isdri with me out of town, like I did last year in my hometown at Edmonton that I was born in. For me, that was one of those feathers in my caps, because I got George Chavel's record as this street ends. I got the first heavyweight title I ever fought for in Edmonton, which was my birth town, even though I'm from the Maritimes. So the guys like, Ken Lacroix, Willie DeWitt, and all those guys, they would have loved to have won a Canadian title there. They did. Some
right.
For me, it's just I got so much. Every time I'm out, I'm making history. For me, that's what's truly gratifying. That's what it's about for me. Like, it doesn't feel good to not have sponsors. I haven't had sponsors in over a year.
And you're still working your way towards it.
I'm in better shape than I was a year ago.
And we're actually coming live tonight from the Abbotsford Rec Center, where Danny, your manager, is putting on he's promoting with Abbotsford Fight League some boxing matches. They're just downstairs right now while we're upstairs conducting this interview. What are your thoughts on tonight's fights?
Well, I'm looking forward to watching the card. I missed a few of the earlier fights out amateur, but I'm looking forward to it. I've got some interest there. Some of the heavyweights that are going at it. Exactly. I fought one of those guys. I think you actually watched the fight, Table Boat or Tyson Bowl at BC. And so I'm looking forward to watch the heavyweights fight. I really like to get behind guys that I've got a connection with. When you fight, you put a lot into it, especially as I should. So you want to, I think you can't go through that, end up warring with somebody and not have any respect if you're a real boxer.
Right. It's kind of like, just a quick reference. I mean, there's been lots of them, top fighters, top UFC fighters too, like a Conor and a Nate, or a Floyd and a Conor, or, there's been a million of them in the boxing history. So they all tend to come back as buddies at the end. So a lot of respect, mutual respect, which is always good in the sport. You could add the height to the fight, but when the fight's over, It's just mutual respect.
See two guys that went out there and tried to kill each other.
Right.
And afterwards, hopefully, they had beer and some good food.
Maybe in the hospital room, but yeah. Okay, so and on top of your fighting career, and I mean, I think I'm definitely rooting for you, and I'm sure you've got a whole team that loves and hopes that we can continue to see you rise. And on top of that, though, you're also running a business for yourself, correct? Jab Fitness.
That's right.
Okay, so do you want to tell the audience a little bit about why you started that up and what you're hoping to gain from that? And I'm sure also it just makes sense to have something on the backside.
Yeah, sure. Well, I started working in the fitness industry, Steve Nash Fitness World, which is really kind of the leading premier organization out here with Club 16. I guess their competitor is it. And I really got to get a good handle on the personal training and like the kinesiology side of health and wellness, right? And so I had the boxing stuff down pretty good, and I had actually went and got my credentials as a strict tradition coach, person trainer, and all these different specializations, sports nutrition. And I did that knowing that I was going to have to keep my costs low when I got out here because I wasn't going to have a lot of support and backing. So I used myself as the guinea pig, basically. And COVID started. I figured, hey, here's the opportunity to really kind of try and make it happen. My vision as a child was always to be a heavyweight champion and to wake up and to go downstairs and to train in my gym, get ready for fights.
Right, and now you have.
So, everything that I wanted to do in this life, short of winning that world title, I'm 7 spots away from, I've done. And, I'm going to continue to find new goals, challenges when I reach that. That's not going to be enough for me. And I'm going to continue to find ways to use my platform to create awareness in the areas that I know there needs to be some light shed on stuff, right?
Right. Now, do you have a lot of aspiring boxers coming to you to train with you?
Good question, because, without dropping any names, pretty much every guy that comes to me, I have boxes are actually registered too.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Well, that's the tricky part of that business as well. I guess so we can all go downstairs and watch the fights now. On a ending note, is there anything that you'd like to say, just a little bit about yourself and where you see your career going, and any last words?
Thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to come in and share a few words about my story and what I'm trying to do. And hopefully it motivates a few people, inspires a few people. It just gives me more to stay motivated and try and accomplish, right? I've got another 5 to 7 years of boxing left in me. And, the guys that are some of the best fighters of the world, in my phone, I can assure you there's tape of me holding my own, if not better, with these guys. And, I'm going to get that opportunity sooner, right? As I'm in the right business. And I'm motivated and inspired by the right things in life. So, they say boxing is 10% physical, 90% mental. The time away from the ring, that's the mental part. You're a fighter. You're really a fighter, you want to be in the ring.
That's right.
So for myself, that's the challenge. A lot of fighters, quite often, that's when they have meltdowns and do, Conor McGregor type stuff, right? But
That's right.
On Monday after a fight, I'm back in the gym getting ready for next. And that's why I'm 44, still doing what I'm doing.
Well, and I can't wait for your next fight. So hopefully, and I just want to thank you again for coming on to my show and teaching my audience a little bit about yourself and the journey of what it is like to be a boxer trying to go through life, the life of a combat sports athlete. So thank you so much for taking the time out. Yeah, of course. We'll talk soon after your next fight.
Absolutely.
Okay, take care.